Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Juliana Jaffe Levin, and this is Awakening Wednesdays. And welcome so much. I'm glad you're here. For those of you who aren't familiar, what we do here is just plant seeds of possibility and kind of gather tools to help us on the journey of life, to make it easier, happier, more joyful. All things I think we all want. So I'm so glad you're here with me. And Happy New Year. And I know I was here last week on New Year's Day, but I'm realizing for myself, I don't know what it's like for you, but I was barely that it was a new year. And now a week later, I'm like, okay, let's get back into the groove of life and let's get back into the flow. And for so many, it's a time we reflect and we think about what do we want to carry forward into the new year and what would we like to leave behind. And today, what I was impressed to talk about is how we can set ourselves up to be disappointed in ourselves, to feel like a failure, to tell ourselves we don't measure up. And so early in the year, and that certainly isn't helpful. So we are encouraged in our culture so much to set, hard, fast goals, okay? I'm going to lose 25 pounds and I'm going to do it by such and such a time. I'm going to stop doing this and I'm going to do this. And, we're kind of rigid often in the way we set these goals. And over the years, I've been working a lot with this on a personal level because I spent a lot of time in the corporate world. I come from a history of being kind of tough on myself. And goals were always kind of scary, and I usually didn't meet them. And I always felt, quite honestly, pretty shitty afterwards. And I started working years ago with shifting from goals to intentions. And because an intention gives me a direction. This is my intention. This is where I'm heading. This is what I want more of. And then I started turning it into sacred intentions, because that which is sacred is something I hold in my heart, something I hold in a more gentle way with myself, something that leaves possibilities open. Because as much as I'm sure in this moment this is what I want to do, that leaves no room for more information to come in and for that quote unquote goal, or now what I'm saying, intention, to morph and change as I morph and change and grow. It's a Hebrew word that I love is called kavanah. And I like using it because it takes all the stigma of all the English words off. And kavanah simply means sacred intention. And when I'm working with people and we're kind of setting up their course of, what they want to accomplish, we always use kavanot, which is the plural. And I talk about them being guiding lights. And I'm very visual, and I always have pictures and stories going in my mind. And so I always picture the guys on the runway, or they're not on the runway anymore, but as they're guiding the planes in, and they have their lights, and they're doing this, and the plane's going in that direction, and that's what they use to guide them. And I like to think of kavanah or kavanot as our sacred intentions as being our guiding light in our lives at this point, pointing us in the direction that we want to go and being there for us. And it also encourages us to hold the positive side of things, which is really, we're creating all the time, whether we're conscious of it, whether we own it or not. We are creators. And so we're in our mind's eye, we're setting what is happening. So often in the old world of goals, we're focused on what we don't want. in the world of kavanah or sacred intention, we're picturing what we do want. We're using those lights. So instead of, let's say, I want to lose 26 pounds by this date, I am setting intention. I am setting a sacred intention to become more aware of what I put in my mouth, to want to have a friendlier relationship with food and my weight. I am wanting to bring in more natural foods, less processed foods, foods that my body can digest. And I set a direction. And so the next day, I eat a candy bar. I just feel how that feels in my body. And I become aware, oh, that's not the direction I really wanted to go. Okay. And so it's not I broke the rule, I'm out. And we all know what happens, right? After a couple of those, we're back into our old pattern. And so this is something that we can use all year long, but I think it's especially important now. My husband works out at this place, and, the guy told him how the first week in the year is their busiest week of the whole year. And so they're open New Year's Day and everything because people are like right on it, and how it falls off. Because I think when we do that, when we set those kind of hard and fast goals, and it's usually based on not being happy with ourselves, that doesn't stay, that doesn't hold. If we set a sacred intention, this is where I'm going. And I often, I have a history of this. It came about very organically for me, of setting, of just words coming to me. And I kind of live with that word, often for a year or better. And for me, the word that came up for this year was ease. That I wanted to live with more ease, which for me means also more lightness. And then as I was thinking about talking this morning, the words that came to me were grace and ease. I know I've spoken about grace recently, and it just, to me, it is, it is God, it is the universe, it is the light, that grace. And so if you want, we can take a moment. We still have a little time. Let's close our eyes and do some nice out breaths. Taking them all the way to the end. Letting go of the harshness, letting go of the tightness, and filling it with light, with ease, with openness. And just maybe put out the question to yourself in this space. What would I like more of? What do I want to make my guiding light, my kavanah for this year? What do I want to be actively creating and holding in my heart? And if it feels right and you feel able, bring into your mind's eye a picture. If it's got to do with being kinder to others, allow yourself picturing an interaction where you're really coming from your heart and doing something so lovely for another that feels so good to you. If it's got to do with food, see yourself sitting down to a meal that just looks so delicious and smells great and is enticing to you and is healthy and is going to help you bring your body to a state of being that would feel good and whole to you. If it's getting a job done, picture yourself at the completion of that job, finishing it, feeling so satisfied with what you did, and looking back and saying to yourself, wow, that went so much easier than I expected it to go. And so I leave you with this for this week, but also for this entire year. What if we become more and more gentle, creative creators of our existence? More and more what we want, letting go of the harshness, letting go of the rigidity. If we go someplace that takes us and we go, oh, that didn't feel good. That's not what I wanted for myself. To just pick ourselves up gently, put ourselves back on the road, see the guy with the lights, and carry on. Thank you so much for being with me this morning. And I wish you gentleness and wonder and really being where you want to be and creating more of what you want for yourself in your life. Bye now.